The silent world. The void of space held no mercy for the unprepared. Commander Theron Vex understood this truth better than most beings in the galaxy. He stood on the observation deck of the Dominion flagship, the Eternal Resolve, watching 2,000 warships hold formation around him. Their hulls gleamed with the cold light of distant stars. Their weapons hummed with enough power to shatter continents. And before them floated a small blue world that had somehow become the galaxy's greatest mystery. The gathering storm. Theron's scaled fingers pressed against the cold glass of the viewport. His reptilian eyes studied Earth with a mixture of curiosity and frustration. 50 years. 450 standard years, this unremarkable planet had ignored every summons, every invitation, and every demand from the Galactic Union. They had rejected ambassadors at their borders. They had refused to attend summits where their membership was discussed. They had simply gone quiet. Status report, Theron commanded without turning around. Lieutenant Kira Solen, a tall humanoid with silver skin and luminescent eyes, stepped forward. Her species, the Villani, were known for their calm demeanor and analytical minds. Nothing in Kira's expression suggested she felt calm now. All vessels are in position, Commander. The fleet represents 12 member species of the Galactic Union. Combined firepower exceeds anything assembled in the last 4 centuries. She paused, her brow furrowing. Earth has not raised any defensive shields. No weapons are charging. Their orbital stations appear to be civilian in nature. Theron turned to face her. No military response at all? None that our sensors can detect, sir. This troubled Theron more than an armed resistance would have. He had spent 60 years in military service. He had fought in border wars, hunted pirates across nebulae, and negotiated with species so alien that communication required months of careful study. In all that time, he had never encountered a civilization that simply ignored an approaching war fleet. The insult of silence. Council Representative Malt has Gren shuffled forward on his 6 legs. The elderly insectoid served as the Union's official voice for this mission. His compound eyes reflected the distant Earth as he spoke. This is precisely what we predicted, Malt has said, his mandibles clicking with each word. Humanity's arrogance knows no bounds. They treat the combined might of the galaxy as though we were mere insects buzzing at their door. Theron suppressed a grimace. He disliked Maltaz and his tendency toward dramatic pronouncements. But the representative was not entirely wrong. Earth's behavior defied all logic. Why would a young species, barely capable of interstellar travel, risk annihilation through such blatant disrespect? Commander, Kira announced, we are detecting a vessel departing from Earth's moon. Single ship. Frigate class at best. Minimal armaments. The tactical display flickered to life, showing a small human craft moving toward the fleet with almost leisurely speed. It came alone without escort or backup. One tiny ship approaching enough firepower to reduce their world to ash. Humanity sends a single ship to greet us, Malt has said with disgust. They mock us even in their final hours. The ambassador arrives. Theron ordered the vessel allowed to dock. He wanted answers more than he wanted satisfaction. Something about this situation felt deeply wrong, and his instincts had kept him alive through too many battles to ignore them now. The human female who walked into the command center wore simple gray clothing. Her dark hair showed streaks of gray at the temples. Her face bore the lines of someone who had carried heavy burdens for many years. She moved with the careful steps of a person who understood the weight of the moment. I am Elena Marsh, she said. Her voice was steady despite standing before dozens of alien species who had come to judge her world. I speak for Earth. Maltaz rose to his full height, towering over the human woman. You speak for a world that has committed 50 years of insults against the Galactic Union. Your silence has been an unforgivable offense against every member species. Elena met his compound eyes without flinching. I understand your anger, Representative, and I am sorry for what you perceive as disrespect. But I must ask for something before we proceed. You are in no position to ask for anything, Maltaz snapped. 48 hours, Elena continued as though he had not spoken. Give me 48 hours to prepare a full explanation. What I need to show you cannot be rushed. It requires evidence that must be transported from distant stations. It requires witnesses who must travel from hidden locations. Theron stepped forward, placing himself between the angry representative and the calm human. He studied Elena's face carefully. He had interrogated countless prisoners over his long career. He had learned to read truth and deception across biological barriers that would have confused lesser officers. This woman was not lying. She was not stalling. She was genuinely afraid, but not of the fleet surrounding her world. The hidden truth. What kind of explanation? Theron asked quietly. Elena turned to face him directly. Something in her eyes reminded Theron of soldiers he had known who had seen too much combat. That hollow look that came from witnessing things no being should have to witness. An explanation for why Earth has been silent, Commander. We have not ignored the galaxy out of arrogance. We have been. She paused, choosing her words carefully. We have been occupied with other matters. What matters could possibly justify 50 years of isolation? Elena hesitated. For the first time, Theron saw real fear cross her features. Not fear of the fleet. Not fear of death. Something else entirely. I need to show you something first, she said. Your long-range sensors. Have they detected anything unusual beyond the 8th planet? In the outer reaches of this system. Kira checked her console, confusion spreading across her silver features. Background radiation. Stellar debris. Nothing significant. A bitter smile touched Elena's lips. Of course. We have become very good at hiding what needs to stay hidden. The secret in the darkness. After Elena departed to make her preparations, Theron found himself unable to rest. Her question about the outer system gnawed at him. Why would she ask about their sensors? What was Earth concealing in the frozen darkness beyond their inhabited worlds? Lieutenant Solen, he said quietly, ensuring Maltese could not hear. Prepare a stealth reconnaissance team. I want them to investigate the outer system. Full spectrum analysis. Find anything that does not belong. Kira's luminescent eyes widened. That violates our mission protocols, Commander. We are supposed to maintain position. I am aware of protocols, Theron replied. But that human did not ask about our sensors from idle curiosity. Something is out there, and I intend to know what it is before we make any decisions about Earth's fate. 3 stealth ships departed within the hour. They moved silently through the darkness, their cloaking fields making them invisible to conventional sensors. Theron waited on the observation deck, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath the stars. Such a small world. So unremarkable compared to the ancient civilizations of the galactic core. Yet something about humanity's silence had always disturbed him. Young species typically behaved in predictable patterns. They sought approval from elder races. They craved recognition and trade agreements. They begged for technology and protection. Earth had done none of these things. They had simply withdrawn and closed their doors. The first reports came back 6 hours later. The horror revealed. Commander. Kira's voice trembled as she called him to the tactical display. You need to see this immediately. What appeared on the screen made Theron's blood run cold. Fortress stations. Massive weapon platforms scarred by battle. Debris fields stretching for thousands of kilometers. And ships, damaged, unfamiliar vessels that belonged to no species the galaxy had ever recorded. All of it hidden behind stealth technology so advanced that the Union's best sensors had registered only background noise. What is this? Maltese demanded, his earlier arrogance replaced by genuine shock. Theron stared at the images, understanding crashing over him like a wave. He saw the names scrolling across recovered data logs. Human names. Thousands upon thousands of them. Dates going back decades. Earth had not been ignoring the galaxy out of arrogance. They had been fighting a war. A war no one else knew existed. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the images, Theron saw something beginning to stir. The war nobody knew. The reconnaissance footage played on continuous loop as Theron's command staff gathered around the holographic display. Each viewing revealed new horrors hidden in Earth's outer system. Asteroid bases converted into fortresses. Ship graveyards where human vessels had been carefully arranged in memorial formations. And everywhere, the wreckage of those strange alien ships whose design matched nothing in galactic records. Enhance Sector 7, Theron commanded, pointing at one of the mysterious vessels. The image expanded, revealing a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. Its hull seemed to blend organic and mechanical elements in ways that should have been impossible. The surfaces appeared to shift even in still images, as though the material itself was somehow alive. Weapon ports lined its flanks, but they did not resemble standard energy projectors. They looked more like mouths. Hungry mouths waiting to feed. The ancient enemy. Commander, we are receiving an urgent transmission from Ambassador Marsh. Theron nodded. Put her through. Elena's face appeared on the communication screen. She looked even more exhausted than before, but there was determination in her eyes now rather than the careful caution she had shown earlier. You found our hidden stations, she said. It was not a question. We found evidence of a war, Theron replied. A war you have been fighting for decades without telling anyone. Elena nodded slowly. 37 years to be precise. Since the massacre at New Geneva Colony. She paused, gathering herself. I was going to show you all of this properly. With context. With explanations that might have helped you understand. But I suspect we no longer have time for careful presentations. Explain now, Malt has demanded. What are those ships? What enemy has humanity been fighting? Elena gestured to someone off-screen. A moment later, the transmission expanded to show a containment unit being wheeled into view. Inside the reinforced glass something moved. Something that made every council member in Theron's command center step backward in instinctive horror. The Devourer. The creature stood roughly human height, but its form defied comfortable description. Its body shifted between solid and liquid states, covered in a shell that seemed to breathe with independent life. Multiple limbs emerged from its torso, ending in appendages that served as both tools and weapons. But worst of all were its eyes, dozens of them scattered across its body, each one tracking different observers with cold, calculating hunger. This is a devourer, Elena announced. The species that has been trying to exterminate humanity for 37 years. That thing is alive? Malthus's voice had risen to a high pitch. Sedated and contained. We have captured specimens for study over the decades. Understanding your enemy is essential to fighting them. Theron forced himself to approach the screen, studying the creature despite every instinct screaming at him to flee. The being's eyes tracked him and he could see intelligence there. Not animal cunning but cold, strategic awareness. This was no mindless beast. This was a thinking, planning predator. Where did they come from? He asked. Elena's colleague, a gray-haired man named Director Samuel Cross, stepped forward. We do not know for certain. Our best evidence suggests they are an ancient species from intergalactic space, the void between galaxies where nothing should exist. They appear in civilizations, consume everything and then move on to new hunting grounds. The price of isolation. Cross activated a holographic display showing star maps marked with dead zones. Each zone represented a region where thriving civilizations had once existed, now reduced to empty worlds and silent ruins. The pattern was unmistakable. The Devourers had been doing this for millions of years. First contact occurred at New Geneva, Elena continued. A mining colony of 4,000 people. We received their final transmission. She played the audio. The screams were terrible. Weapons fire and explosions filled the recording. But worse was the feeding, wet organic sounds that turned Theron's stomach. And through it all, the desperate voice of a colony administrator begging Earth for help that would arrive far too late. We sent a military response, Elena said flatly. Found nothing but bones and ash. The Devourers had stripped the colony bare. No survivors. No supplies. No equipment. Just empty buildings and death. You tried to warn the Galactic Union, Theron said quietly, the pieces falling into place. 30 years ago. I remember the reports. Elena nodded. We sent detailed information. We requested emergency sessions. We begged for assistance. Her voice hardened slightly. We were dismissed as paranoid. Several council members suggested we had fabricated the threat to gain military technology and political influence. Malthus's compound eyes had lost their arrogant gleam. His mandibles clicked nervously. I remember that session. I voted to ignore Earth's claims. Most of the council did. So we made a choice, Elena said without apparent anger. If we could not get help, we would fight alone. And if we could not get help, we would at least prevent panic. The galaxy did not need to know about monsters lurking in the darkness until we had some way to stop them. The Hidden War. Cross brought up combat footage showing human ships engaging Devourer vessels in brutal warfare. The aliens fought with terrifying efficiency, targeting life support systems first, breaching hulls to reach the crew inside. When human ships attempted retreat, the Devourers pursued until nothing remained. We built our hidden fortresses in the outer system, Elena explained. We developed new weapons. We learned their patterns and weaknesses. We fought hundreds of engagements over 3 decades, losing thousands of our people to protect a galaxy that had abandoned us. Theron thought of the memorial markers his scouts had found. Thousands of names. Pilots and soldiers and engineers, all of them dying in battles that no one would ever know about. How many, he asked quietly, how many humans have died in this war? Elena's expression flickered with pain. Nearly 200,000 confirmed deaths. Many more listed as missing when their ships were completely destroyed. She paused. The youngest was 17. The oldest was 84. They all volunteered knowing they would likely die in silence, with no one to honor their sacrifice. The storm approaches. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the flagship. Kira's silver face had gone pale as she stared at her sensor displays. "Commander, we have a problem." When our reconnaissance ships investigated the outer system, one of the damaged Devourer vessels activated. It sent a transmission into deep space. Theron's hearts began pounding. A distress call? More than that, sir. It was a beacon. A signal indicating the location of prey. Kira's voice dropped to a whisper. "And something has answered." The tactical display expanded to show the edge of the solar system. Red markers began appearing, one then 10 then hundreds. Ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel from outside the galaxy entirely. From the cold void between spiral arms where nothing should exist. "Count?" Theron demanded. "Still coming in, sir. 1,000. 3,000. 5,000. Kira's hands trembled as she worked her console. 8,000 confirmed. They are not stopping. The Devourer fleet appeared on visual sensors, and Theron understood finally why Elena had looked so tired. These were not damaged relics from old battles. These ships were alive and healthy, their organic mechanical hulls pulsing with hungry anticipation. The choice. "They will reach Earth in 6 hours, Cross reported, his voice remarkably steady. "Our defense stations are already activating. Every ship we have is moving to intercept." Malthus's 6 legs trembled. "We should retreat. This is not our war. We came here to punish Earth, not to fight monsters from beyond the galaxy." Theron turned to look at the Galactic Union fleet spread around his flagship. 2,000 ships from 12 civilizations. The greatest military force assembled in centuries. And now he understood what that force truly represented. It was not punishment for Earth's silence. It was reinforcements for humanity's secret war. "No," Theron said firmly. "We do not retreat. Commander, we cannot. For 37 years humanity has fought alone to protect a galaxy that abandoned them." Theron's voice rose with authority. "They died in silence so that we could sleep peacefully in our ignorance. And now you want to run while they face extinction." He turned to face the council representative directly. "I did not become a military commander to flee from battle while others died in my place. If humanity falls today, those creatures will not stop at Earth. They will consume everything and there will be no one left to fight them. Standing together." Elena's voice came through the communication channel. "Commander Vex, you do not owe us anything. The Galactic Union made its feelings about Earth clear decades ago. If you wish to retreat and warn the other systems, we will not blame you." Theron met her eyes through the screen. "Ambassador Marsh, I have spent 60 years in military service. I have fought alongside allies and against enemies across 100 systems. But I have never witnessed courage like what your people have shown." He straightened to his full height. "The Galactic Union fleet will stand with Earth today. We will fight together or we will fall together. But we will not abandon those who have bled to protect us." A long silence followed. When Elena spoke again, her voice carried emotions she had clearly been suppressing for years. "Then welcome to the war, Commander. We are glad to finally have allies at our side." Around the flagship, 2,000 warships began moving into combat formation alongside Earth's hidden defenders. Crews that had never worked together before started coordinating tactical networks. Weapons systems from a dozen civilizations aligned against a common enemy. And in the distance, the Devourer fleet continued to grow, its hungry ships spreading across the darkness like a plague. The battle for Earth was about to begin. But for the first time in 37 years, humanity would not fight alone. The galaxy had finally awakened to the threat lurking in the void. And together, every species that called this spiral arm home would discover whether courage and determination could triumph against an enemy older than recorded history. The silence was over. The war had truly begun. The end.